Hi, Darcy Weisner here. This is our weekly communication during closure to all staff, and I'm including our board this week in this video communication. And really, there's not a lot to communicate. I'm prior to the governor's press conference today. It's about 2 o'clock right now, and so we'll get some further guidance. And if there's an extension of the stay home, stay safe, then we'll go ahead and extend our business operations as they currently are through the extension. If there's some relief, we'll go ahead and communicate that out. But I'm going to wait until next week to communicate what that looks like depending on the outcome of today's press release. I really want to center on a couple of reflections that I've had this week. And one quote that I listened to, it's human nature to avoid things we don't like. And one of the things that I thought about was some of my grandchildren don't like vegetables. So it's human nature to avoid those because they don't like them. Some people like to avoid tough conversations. Some people like to avoid conflict and so forth. But I also thought about our senior class and some of the difficulties that parents are faced with. And I listened to this quote: "What do we do when there is nothing we can do?" What do we do when there's nothing we can do? Graduation, prom, a family from traveling in for the first child of the family's graduation, the celebrations, Justins, the announcements, the pictures, and all of that has been taken away from the class of 2020. And so I got into actually a pretty depressed mode yesterday. You know, this thing's gone on since March, as I remember it, and I needed some motivation. Personally, I was moping around the house, and I just didn't feel that good. So I just really tried to focus in on something that I could control in myself. And I went back to a time when I was the principal at Walla Walla High School, and I had our very first all-staff meeting. I'm very nervous, very young, and I really tried to be over-prepared. I had slides. I had this long, drawn-out presentation. I think it was 35 minutes. And then right before the presentation, somebody said, "You just need to be yourself. You just need to communicate from your soul, from your heart, what you want staff to hear." And I changed the entire presentation. But one thing I didn't change was some information about Jim Stockdale, Admiral Jim Stockdale, that was highlighted in Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. Admiral Stockdale was famously known at one point for being Ross Perot's vice presidential candidate in the 90s. But in the book, it details, and in his life, he details the time when he was a prisoner of war in Vietnam at the Hanoi Hilton. Admiral Stockdale was in prison for 8 years and was tortured over 20 times. And at one point took a razor blade to his face to disfigure it so that the enemy would not put him on TV for their propaganda campaign. Jim Collins, in his book, asked Admiral Stockdale, "How did you survive 8 years in a POW camp?" His quote was, "I never lost faith in the end of the story." And that is so true today. We're in this pandemic. We're in school closures. We have things happening to our most precious that we just wouldn't imagine we would want on anybody, and yet we never lose faith in the end of the story. So I have faith, I have hope that this will end and we'll get back to normal, and whatever normal is post-COVID-19. The other thing that Collins asked Stockdale was, who didn't make it out? In other words, you survived 8 years, you were tortured, very difficult situations, and some people never made it out, unfortunately. And he said, that's easy. It's the optimist that didn't survive in the POW experience. He said, explain. Well, the optimist would say, okay, it's Christmas is coming, we're going to get out, and they didn't get out. It's Easter is coming, it came, and we didn't get out. Thanksgiving came, and they didn't get out. They lost hope, and they had broken hearts, and then subsequently they were the ones that didn't make it out of that situation. And Stockdale went on to explain how he managed to stay alive every single day in some of the most difficult situations that anybody could imagine that anybody would be in. He said this: never give up hope, but, and this takes discipline. This is that discipline and default conversation that we've been exposed to through Focus 3. Never give up hope, but never deceive yourself of your current reality. In other words, you have to confront the brutal facts of today's situation, what we're experiencing, and what we need to do. Never lose hope that it's going to end, but take every single day, be in the moment, and figure out how to take care of all the things that we need to take care of today. So the most important thing to me is we need to take care of each other. You need to take care of your families. You need to take care of your mental health, your physical health, what you're eating, what your conversations with people are like. Make sure they don't get negative. The whole BCD, make sure you're not in a BCD doom loop as we've been taught. And I just want to encourage you, as it encouraged me, even though this is a horrific story that I've highlighted, but it really does give us the opportunity to know that things will get better, things will end at some point. But today, I'm going to confront my reality and take charge of it and work through the problems and the lists that I've created that I need to accomplish today. So I hope that encourages some of you. It did work for me. And I just want to say thank you for your service, your dedication, and all the amazing and innovative things that you're doing. Please keep it up. Enjoy the weekend and take care.